Okay, thank you, Zoe, for meeting with me today.
Of course.
So, can you please first introduce yourself, and that can include your major, any applicable minors, and your pre-professional track, and what school you go to?
Of course. Well, my name is Zoe. I am currently a comparative literature major and intended double majoring for philosophy, and I might have a minor in human rights. My pre-professional track is I want to go to law school, so law.
All right, and what school do you go to?
Oh, I go to the University of Washington, the Seattle campus.
All right, so thank you so much for introducing yourself. So, my first question is, why did you choose to major in those two that you just mentioned?
Oh, well, initially I was just gonna come in and be an English major, but I took my first quarter and then I realized that I had an interest for philosophy and it would help going into law school. And I took an introductory comparative literature course and I just like fell in love with just the range of readings and just how you just get a more broad perspective on all of these different like pieces of literature that you might not get when you're just doing an English major. So I liked how also both of them combined could help me like with my critical like thinking, my analysis, and just how I can reason and understand things. And it also helps that what I want to do in the future involves like a lot of reading and a lot of writing and a lot of problem solving. So both of those things combined made me want to major in those things.
That's great to hear. So, why did you choose to go to UW for your major, or just in general, why did you choose to go to UW?
Well, I chose to go to UW. It was a long journey for me to just for me to decide that I wanted to go to UW. I was in between a lot of schools. I just really didn't know what to do. It was just a lot of sleepless nights over figuring out where I wanted to go. But I think what solidified it for me was when I actually visited the campuses, and I went to a couple of campuses, but I didn't fall in love with any of them, or I didn't feel like I belonged to any of them as much as I felt like I belonged at UW. Like I just got onto campus, I saw like I think it was the cherry blossoms, honestly. um, but just like the people that I saw, the people that I met, and just the overall vibe, I really connected with.
And I know you're an out-of-state student, so like, were there any problems or concerns that you had for being an out-of-state student going to Washington?
Well, I feel like I don't want to speak for all out-of-state students, but there's always that fear of like being far away from home if it's that for the first time for a lot of people, especially for an extended amount of time. But I've been wanting to be independent my entire life, so I was really more excited about that. And you know, I don't think it was more of a like fear as more of just first year apprehension, just like needing to get into it before like I got over it.
How did you like? Do you know what helped you adjust to it?
Oh, yes, I do. I went to this program called Early Fall Start, which was like an introductory college course. So you took 5 credits, like half a month before school started. So you got acclimated to your room, your roommate, like the campus environment without actually needing to interact with thousands of people every day. I've also joined like Unite UW and other just like introductory clubs to really start having friendships, to start building relationships, and to just having that secure group of friends or having a place to like go back to and like have people around. I think that really helps because without like my friends or without having that sort of that security, it'd be a lot more difficult.
Can you explain a little bit what Unite UW is?
Well, Unite UW is a cultural exchange program. Essentially, it takes students, international students, domestic students, out of state students, just a whole bunch of people from whole different backgrounds, and then you unite. You come together. You go on a retreat. You teach each other about your cultures. You learn from each other. You talk to each other, and you essentially become friends, even though you have really different backgrounds. And you talk about like things you've learned about each other, and you also go on a lot of fun activities. One of the things that we went to was this like Seattle great adventure thing. I forgot what it was called. It was a scavenger hunt essentially where you would go around the entire city of Seattle and you would take pictures at the landmarks. You would go to Pike Place, you would go to like the International District, and then you would just experience Seattle with like your group of friends, and it was a lot of fun.
All right. So thank you for sharing a little bit about your extracurricular Unite. What other extracurriculars are you a part of at the university?
Well, at the university, I'm a part of mock trial, because, go law. But yeah, so I'm a mock trial, the competitive team, so I do that. And I also do PAD, so it's Phi Alpha Delta, which is the pre-law society. So a lot of law, legal things. But those are the main two things that I'm a part of.
All right. How would you like describe the dormitory life at UW?
I think I lucked out a lot in dorm wise, because I ended up loving my roommate, and she's one of the closest people that I have at UW. She's like my backbone. Without her, I would go crazy. Yeah, she's great, and we were random selection, so it was real luck because if I was paired with anybody else, it would have gone haywire. But dorm life, I really enjoyed it, even though I don't think I'm going to go back to dorms in the next few years, just for other reasons. I really liked doing dorms my first year because my friends were right below me or right next to me or like right near me or a 5-minute walk away from me. And so if we ever wanted to hang out, we could do that. I also really enjoyed like the social lounges because we would all cook together. We'd all play video games together. We'd all just hang out there. The study lounges were also really fun because you could just hoard up in a lounge and then study all together. And it just gave like a lot of easy access to hang out with your friends. And I feel like that's really important. And especially in the first year when you're trying to like socialize and like have people and like make your mark, it's nice to have that opportunity. Also, study lounges for studying really helped me because I did not want to study in my dorm. And since it's so close to the dorms, I could just walk and then just actually be productive.
No, yeah, of course. Would you, I know you said you had random selection. If a student had a friend who was going to the university, would you recommend staying with like someone they know in the first year of the dorms, or would you recommend like possibly finding a new person or doing random?
I honestly think it depends. That I know that's not helpful, but there are a lot of factors because I've heard a lot of stories from my friends who've from my in-state like friends from where I'm from who dormed with people that they've known, and it'd be like the worst decision ever because you can be friends with somebody, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you should live with them, and like vice versa. Like I've heard horror stories about random selection, and I think honestly it goes down to like, do you want like what do you want your college experience to be? Because I also know people who've gone to dorm with people randomly on purpose because they want that experience of like meeting somebody new. So it's just what you want. You have just be sure of if you're rooming with your friends. And I guess like it's just about building trust regardless of who you dorm with, because if you don't trust the person you're dorming with, then like that's kind of whack.
All right. Thank you for that. So now we're going to switch it up a little bit to talk about like your application process when applying for colleges.
Oh yeah.
So yeah. So so personally, how did you feel about your application process?
Oh, my application process. I like putting my like 100% effort into everything that I do. So this also translated to literally like 30 pages of writing, and that's just like for drafts and like final drafts and like rewrites of final drafts, all for just like essays, especially for like but like additional essays and so many essays. Overall I felt like it depends on the day. Like sometimes I felt really confident about like my application and I'd be really like solid and like I believe in myself and my essay, but then other days it'd be like, wow, if I had a stronger ACT, SAT, better AP scores. So, but overall I got to where I was supposed to go. So it all worked out.
No, yeah, of course. Were you familiar with like the process, and that includes like financial aid, Common App, things like that? Because I know a lot of students might not be too familiar with it.
At first, I was definitely very confused. It can be very overwhelming. um, but I know that my dad was really helpful in like helping me and guiding me through it. But also, it was a lot of Googling and a lot of asking my friends and just asking so many questions. I know that. And especially for like whenever you're doing the Common App, you're always scared that you're gonna do something wrong. So as long as you like take your time, I went back and went over my Common App so many times. Like I like just went back, even if I filled it in already, I just went back to recheck that it was all filled. So as long as you're meticulous and you're not going through it the last second, regardless of like what app you're doing, like then it should be okay.
How much time do you think you dedicated to like researching colleges or asking your peers for help when it came to like deciding which colleges to actually apply to?
It took so many hours. I don't know if that's me being indecisive or if it's just like me wanting to get all the information. I guess it's both. I have I don't know where it is right now. I think it's like on my bookshelf somewhere, but I have like a fat book of every single college in the United States that's alphabetized from A to Z, and it lists everything about the college. It lists its best majors, it lists its standing, it lists like the environment, if it's green, like its environmental, like it everything about every single college. And I literally went through that book, read every single page, and dog-eared every single college and piqued my interest. And then I went back from those dog-eared pages, put it on a Google Doc, and then compared what colleges I was interested in, and then divided that list to like schools I could get into, like my like target schools, and then my dream schools, you know.
When did you begin like researching for colleges?
When I was born. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Okay. Seriously, like serious research for college, I think it was like my sophomore year. That was when I like I know that's kind of late or early. I don't know any standards anymore, but that's when I started truly thinking about if I wanted to go in state or out of state or anything like that. But I started to actually like hunker down and actually do real hard research like junior year summer.
Okay. Did you ask like if any assistance through your high school?
Well, I asked for some assistance from, I don't think I asked assistance from my school because like counselors and things like that, like I'm like an independent person and I'm asking for help is like I'm trying to get better at it, but it's not 100% my vibe. I like everybody else who should do it, I'm like begging you, just ask for help because I made my life so much more difficult by not asking for help. But I asked my friends mostly just because we were both in it together. So if I heard something that I knew that they'd be interested in, they'd like, you know, we'd reciprocate that information. But as for like counselors or teachers or, oh, a thing that I did go to, I just remembered, if your high school does like college fairs or college, like people from colleges come to your school and do presentations, you should go to those. Just because like they give you extra information, they give you admissions guidance, they give you like an overview of the school, and you get out of class and get free merch. Like it's just a win-win-win for everything.
Okay, that's really good advice, Zoe.
I have so many pens. I have so many free pens.
So what would you say was like the overall most difficult part of your application process?
I think the most difficult part of my application process. So this doesn't include like figuring out where I was gonna go. This is just like the application itself, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I guess it was just. This sounds bad, but like the motivation, you know, like I've written some of those essays dozens of times over. So at some point where you're just like, wow, this is like I should just write it and like turn it in, whatever. But I guess it was just finding the motivation to always just wanting to become better at it and like finding like that, you know, just like the urge to like keep on going because it's so tedious and you know, it's college. Like you're just like, okay, after a certain point you're like, I don't care anymore, just send me wherever. But you just can't do that because it's like your future. If you like, that's what you want to do. If you want to go to college, you want to go to whatever college is best for you, and you don't want yourself to be what holds you back. So it was just like the want to like keep becoming to be better and like not just accept the first draft or the second draft or even the third draft. Like sometimes it has to go to like 5 drafts or more.
All right. Is there anything that you would change about your application process? Not looking back at it.
I think that this sounds weird. This sounds counterintuitive, but I wouldn't be as harsh on myself as I was in the past, you know? Like there's a difference between wanting the best out of yourself and then overworking yourself.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So like there should definitely be like a line where it's like, yes, you're trying your best and you're exerting your best effort, but that doesn't cross into like I'm obsessively writing essays over like billions of times. So finding that balance of yes, this is important, but it is not something that should like keep you up at night, or it's not
No,
something
yeah.
that you should like stress yourself out, especially if it's like your junior senior year. Whenever you're like doing this stuff, like you should still enjoy high school. You should still make time for your friends and do all this stuff. Like there should be a balance.
Yeah, for sure. Is there any advice you would give to students who, to high school students who are applying for colleges or who want to go to UW?
uh, what application did we use for UW? It wasn't the Common App, it was a Coalition,
It
I think.
was it was Coalition app. It was the only one that did the Coalition app.
Yeah, it was the only one that did the Coalition application. Coalition application is weird. I would say like my main shtick, I guess, was was essays, and I really enjoy writing and like things like that. And I know that so many people are like they're not going to read the essays, they don't care, but like they do. Like they at least they take the time to read it. So even if it is, I don't know, a few hundred words of who you are, as long as you write about something that you're actually passionate about and something that reflects you as a person and that you like put care and effort into, like that's the best, that you can do. Because obviously like SAT scores are just numbers, or GPA's numbers. Like they're numbers that are important because they're given importance, but the essays where you can be like individual, and especially if you can find a way to shine through that, I think that's really important.
Okay, right. Well, thank you so much. Is there anything else you would like to share?
That's really broad.
Like anything else you'd like want to just put out there, like say?
I don't think so.
Okay, so well, thank you so much for letting me interview you.
Of course.
All right, have a great day.
You too.